Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Gull'S Eye View, brought to you by Galaxy TQ. I've called it Weston Super Nightmare. I came up with it with Chris at half time.
You used to kill with that half time, didn't you?
Yeah,
we're
very happy about that.
Well, it's no wonder you're the musician. So with that sort of inspiration, I mean, it's no wonder.
But yeah, so I'm joined by Chris.
Oh, Swanee, it was such a joy to see you last evening.
Yes, we had such a nice evening last night.
Hello.
Yeah, Don.
Good evening.
He didn't go, lucky sod. Tom, he went.
Yes, I've got the panic button right here.
What time to freeze?
He's gone. No, he's back. He's back.
That's really funny. Basically, as Tom's pointed out before I'm let loose, and everyone's let loose, we've got to talk about a lovely 5-1 thrashing. We're talking about very, very average. Good, I mean. And we beat Welling 5-1. Chris and Dom, do you want to talk about this? Because I can't bring myself around to speak about it much.
Well, it was pretty much like the Hungerford game all over again, apart from we gave Welling a goal this time and thought we'd make it a bit more difficult for each other, didn't we?
We did turn up for half an hour.
Yeah, they look like they just got out of bed at 5-3 and sort of, we'll play a bit of football. Let them have a goal, backtracking as usual. Then got a lucky goal, didn't we? Because they just gifted us a penalty. And after that, it was a fairly comfortable victory, wasn't it? But it's just so difficult to enjoy games like that. I want to enjoy them.
Yeah,
and Chris tells us off for not enjoying them, but I'm like,
from 5-1 for goodness sake.
We are flat track bullies, aren't we? You know, we can only beat teams that are absolute garbage, can't we?
Yeah.
We're okay. We're okay if they give us loads of space. We can do what we want. As soon as they get better, we retreat like a load of scared cats, don't we? So it's So it was a good win. It made the weekend a bit more enjoyable, but you kind of you're always worried about what's over your.
Exactly, it just feels like it covers papers cracks when we win like that. I know, their keeper. I mean, that keeper. Wow, lone debut, and then he just has that disaster. That's crazy. It was just. He felt like if we were against Torquay, I feel sorry for him, but it was a disaster. And then
it was a penalty, wasn't there? They gave us two. They gave us
and we were
two penalties. Before that. There's deflecting McGavin goal. There was, I spoke to Richard afterwards and said, if we're playing any decent team, we wouldn't have scored any of those goals.
We will get found out.
That's the trouble. And suddenly all the Gary Johnson supporters jump out afterwards going, right, yes, we've got the right man. We're back in business now.
You've
only got to go back 2 or 3 weeks, haven't you, to the Hungerford game? You've really all you've got to do is refer to that and see what can happen.
This is very much the problem, though, isn't it? We're only ever one win away from everyone saying, "Oh, well, yeah, maybe he's the right man," and then you're only ever one defeat away from what's happened in the last 20 hours since last night, isn't it? And I think, and that's the problem. But yeah, I mean, I thought against Welling, we won the game in third gear, didn't we? We didn't really have to. I mean, that first half an hour was pretty average. I had to chuckle to myself watching that first half an hour after my poke him in a cage and put him in a cage and poke him with a stick comment last week, and it looked like they'd been tickled by cats or something instead, rather than because it was the same last night. Again, it's just it's hard to fathom just why we are so poor in that. Again, against Welling, we were slow. They were first to everything. They were second to everything. It's just so hard to fathom. And that goal, watching it back, it's just like, no, have a shot. No, go on, have a shot. No, please do have a shot. And then, all right, and then and scored. And it's just hard it really is hard. But yeah, I mean, I thought again, Jarvis was good in that game, wasn't he?
He was.
Donnellan's goal was a real good. Something they'd worked on getting him over the back, and it was a lovely finish.
Fantastic finish, Donnellan.
It was a really good goal.
I'm actually praised Donnellan a lot this episode because
it was a good. It was.
I haven't.
He was good last night as well.
I've been very disappointed with him. Yeah, I'll get to that in a bit.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. He wasn't good. He wasn't as bad as the rest of them.
Yes, he actually gave some sort of effort and ran a bit, which meant he stood out.
Yeah. No, but no, I mean, I think that again, comparing the two games, which is where the Weston game is hard to put into context with the Welling game, because Welling, admittedly one was home, one away, but it looked like Welling looked like a decent side for the first 20 minutes, and then after that they fell apart. You can see why they're conceding so many goals, as opposed to last night, where you would, if you walked into that game and didn't know who was where, you'd have thought that Weston were the side in the top half and we were the side in the bottom third. So that's why it was so hard to fathom. But yeah, I mean, Welling looked like, I wouldn't quite draw the analogy I did with Hungerford centre halves that I was quicker than them, but it won a lot better than that.
No.
Yeah, we haven't got the bottle for playing better teams. We're all right when they give us space and we can do what we want. But
yeah, you can play any formation.
What are we doing before games to get them ready? Because we're starting.
And that's if a manager, I mean, we're going to leak into the Western Supermare game now.
Yeah.
But if a manager cannot motivate his players, he's got to go. I mean, that's the biggest skill. I mean, the higher, obviously, the standard gets, the higher the need for tactics is needed, tactical ability. But the main thing comes to motivation. And now at this level, with the being full-time, a big part of it is motivation and getting some sort of shape which the players can play football pretty well in. And you will be right near the top, right? But the fact that the management team cannot motivate the players and the players don't look bothered, they don't look ready.
You can talk tactics the way you like, Sam, can't you? But in the first 10 minutes of games, Chris, has always been the way you win your battles early doors. Yeah. You put a few tackles in, make the opposition know you're there. You win. You win your first balls.
You do, absolutely, and you do, and you see that from watching. Dom and I both watched quite a lot of Liverpool, and Gary Neville's always said that first 20 minutes at Anfield was the hardest 20 minutes of any game anywhere ever if you're a Man United player, because you know what's coming. And that's and our home record's been good overall in general this season, apart from a couple of blips. But I was saying to Dad coming back in the car last night, I find it hard to fathom quite why we're so bad in the first half an hour. I mean, that stat you pulled out, we were talking about again last night, Dom, a few weeks ago, that we've not scored in the first half an hour since the opening day of the season. And you just think to yourself, that's just hard to. And we were, again, last night, we were first, they were first to everything, they were second to everything, they were third to everything. In a lot, there was cavernous spaces in the midfield in between the lines. And you just, it's just hard. The shape was just all over the place. Whether Lapsley withdrawing happened late, because he put Asa in there, and Asa's not a runner. I jokingly said before the game, didn't I? Let's hope Asa's not the runner. Ha! Yeah. And then lo and behold, Asa was the runner in the first half. And it's just hard to understand what they're doing because you should be sending them out the door ready to lynch somebody, shouldn't you? Not the way we're playing.
I think last night, I can't put into words how bad and disgraceful and embarrassing all of those players, forget Gary Johnson for now, all of those players were last night, especially in the first half an hour. I make speak, like, all the fans last night have driven, a hard of money in the rain. We've stood in the rain. 800 fans have come to watch you,
and it was wet.
And it was soaking. Like,
apart from those that pussied out and went under the stand. It was horrendous on a Tuesday night. These were people that work hard in the day and they can't even be bothered. Now the shape, oh my god, like Weston Supermare, they look like the full-time team. They're passing around, no one closed anyone down, and then they kept getting between like the centre backs or wide centre backs. Yeah. And Chris, I'm going to say your words from last night to you. Right, Krask was his left mid. He was playing left back, basically, and then Stubbs wasn't coming back enough. So everyone, I'm not calling Stubbs a lazy player because he's not, but it just doesn't work, the shape. So they just kept getting behind Donnelly and Moxie on the left. That's become a massive issue. That right hand side is becoming a massive issue because it's a real positive and a real negative. Because actually in that first half, Krask, I don't think passed the halfway line, which is what we said at half time. I don't think Krask passed the halfway line in the first half. But Stubbs spent the whole time 30 yards from their goal on the right hand side saying, come on, give me the ball, come on, give me the ball. So every time they attacked, and we've talked, I remember going back to the goals against Dover on the first day of the season, when you look at those, when you have those three centre backs, it's fine as long as they spread, but they can't go everywhere. And that space in behind your two fullbacks, but it was only one because Krask was either told not to go forward, but there was so much space in behind. And it happened against Welling in the first kind of 25-30 minutes as well, that every time they got in, there was just these big holes in between the midfield, well, alleged midfield, and those gaps down the right hand side, down Stubbs' side. And like I say, I think that's how he's been told to play, because he's got that that quality on occasions into the box, but the shape is just so.
It's just crazy. I think there's no tactical familiarity. I can't say the word.
Familiarity.
Because every time,
yeah,
like this is what sums up. When you're in a situation and a player pings it down the line, that you think when a team's been coached well, there's always a player there. So if you're in this side of the pitch and you move the ball forward to transition into an attack, there's always a player here and he's going to nod it down to that player. No one knows where anyone is all the time. Stobbs will get the ball and he play it low front every time we get blocked, rather than float the cross into Jarvis. How many times do I have to say it? Obviously, he's out injured now and it didn't look good. We'll get to that in a bit. But build the team around Aaron Jarvis. For God's sake, when we had Reed and Janny, we built the team around them, right? Play it into his feet. When Jarvis gets the ball, he is better than most of our midfield at passing it.
That was a different team, though, Sam, wasn't it, though? That was a completely different style. Because you had different styles, but you had different threats from everywhere.
It was 20 times better.
Because if Jan and Reed didn't get you, Kalala or Andrews got you. So there was always. I'm a bit worried.
We had a style. Is what I'm saying.
So long.
We had a style.
He's going to come in off a long run any second, I think.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That's the thing.
We had pace on the counter attack with that team, though, didn't we?
Yeah, it's a totally different style.
We defended well enough. Suddenly we could get out the other end.
There's nothing. There's no tactical shape. Like Gary Johnson should be embarrassed. This looks like a Sunday league manager who's just giving it a go. That's how bad this is tactically. Every rookie is doing us. When Nicholson was a rookie manager, we were constantly that they would just change the game, and Nicholson wouldn't know how to deal with it a lot of the time. Right? He's a rookie, and he kept us up in the National League with much worse. Gary Johnson, Sir Gary Johnson, with 40 years on his CV, who in his head is bigger than Torquay United Football Club, with his comments, cannot tactically get a team in full-time team in shape, and he's getting outpossessed, outdone, outrun, outfought by every part-time team like Weston Supermen. No disrespect to them because they absolutely deserve that, and 3-2 was very lucky on our behalf, but it was pathetic. And he should walk. And if he has any dignity about him as a man right now, he should stop taking his paycheck, which won't be small. And he will get out there and he will stop it and say, right, I can't do it anymore. I've tried my best. Right, I'm really gutted. I want to turn it around. I will walk because I'm clearly not the right man for the job anymore. I can't motivate my players to play out after half an hour. I can't sign a good team anymore. And this is where he's got us into. But he's not. He's a little sod who sits and he'll complain at any Torquay fan who stood in there pouring rain for 2 hours, watching this shit for 2 hours, and he'll have a go. And another problem is because now we've got a massive problem. I'll let everyone else in a minute. And I've got a massive problem in this football club, like any business. As soon as you have a business where everyone is cozy, where relationships get in the way of business in a way that, oh, we can't sack him, you won't get a better manager Gary Johnson, because Gary Johnson's probably a very nice bloke to be around all that. And all the directors and all the people around that are cozy, and he's a yes man and all that stuff like that. And then you're not seeing the problem and you're having to go back at fans who criticise that thing, then that's when any business will fail. And that's why Torquay United Football Club is at the lowest point in its history, and it will keep getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And all these people need to shake up. Oh, so there won't be any football club and they won't be in the work and we won't have a football club anymore. And that's exactly what it is. Yeovil, 6,000 last night, and they were in absolute disarray all summer. We had the plan. We had everything in place all summer to go up. Yeovil are going to walk away with this league, and rightly so. They've built their squad properly. They've had more money than us. They've built the squad properly. They've won, 9 in a row. We have lost 4 out of 6 games in all competitions, and you've still got people who think Gary Johnson can't do better. And that is what my opinion is right now. Tom, go.
Here ended the sermon in accordance to Sam.
Tell him how you really feel, Sam.
Yeah, I will.
Well said. Well said, that man.
Very well said. I hope I don't go into a rant like that, because I've been trying to think what I was.
Well, clearly he's not going to, is he?
You're back.
Oh, he's back.
I'm just fed up of watching the same shit week in and week out. It's pathetic. We are such a pathetic football club all round. It was interesting because there was definitely a lot of Gary out section in the crowd last night, but what I found fascinating was, especially where I was stood in the dry, not getting wet. Sorry, lads, get there early, get the space. As soon as anyone mentions Gary out, they're on you. People are on you and saying, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Support the team. And while I kind of agree, there's a time and a place.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, but there was an altercation between a couple of fans 2 minutes in. But the whole football club is dying. It's dying in front of our eyes, and it's sad to see. We're just pathetic. The goals we conceded were just dreadful. Ruben Reid, I mean, how has he been allowed for the first goal to get into a position like that?
In fairness, Ruben Reid looked fitter than he did 15 years ago.
He scored. He scored.
I'll take him in our team right now.
There was like a stat where he scored like 1 in 40 or something, and he scored 2 passes last night. And it's just
that's not helpful, is it?
But it's a fact. It's fact. We're dreadful. The first goal, it's gone in. You know, Halstead. It's gone in from a tight angle, and
Halstead's
it's too easy
games now.
And thank God we've got an Aaron Jarvis in our squad. The equaliser. He does it all by himself.
Amazing.
He heads the ball up, somehow controls it well, turns the man, and slots under the keeper. And we should be right. That's it. Go on 2-1, win this game, put them to bed. And we absolutely shit the bed. 1 long ball from the keeper. Halstead comes out, realizes he's not going to get there before their striker, and Marshall gets there. Marshall, you know, it's just
he likes to panic.
But why is Gary Johnson persisting with someone like Marshall? Why he's given all these players who failed last year? We subbed Jarvis for Dylan Crowe. We're 3-2 down. Granted, Jarvis is injured. Jarvis for Crowe, 3-2 down, couple of minutes left to go to get a point. I'm sorry, Gary, it's pathetic.
Sorry,
and
just to finish that exact moment, Tommy, and the byproduct of that was Marshall going up front.
Yes. And the third goal, especially the one to kill the game. I mean, we've praised Donnellan, and I thought he did have a good game, but too much space.
The whole team gave up.
The whole team
gave up.
The whole team. No one closes down.
They should all not be paid this week because of that goal. And
I'm watching Collins on the highlight, and he moves, you know, like he's in slow motion.
And the goal,
here, mate. It's 2-1 here. Yeah. The game is on the line.
This is shattered.
Are you multitasking, Dom?
What?
Are you watching the highlights at the same time?
No, not the moment, but watched it earlier. It's just
I mean, to be honest, though, but if you look at all 3 goals, though, all 3 goals,
just watching it on
pathetic. They are
just
all
totally avoidable. They're all avoidable. The goal on Saturday, totally avoidable. Close them down, get out there. First goal last night.
We're not learning from our mistakes. Week in, week out, it's the same rubbish. And Gary Johnson, I appreciate you might have wanted to avoid the M5 traffic to get you home last night, but how dare you have the gall to leave the interview to your assistant manager, who, by the way, Aaron Downs, as much as I think you as a defensive coach, you're not a brilliant defensive coach. Thank you for at least have the balls and to have the dignity to thank the travelling 850
and look down the camera.
And look down the camera as I'm looking down now to say, thank you for your support. We didn't perform. And I tell you what, Gary, if you have any grace about you, go. Leave this football club. Get out of our club, because I've had enough of it now. It's ridiculous. I love Torquay United Football Club. You have taken us down the leagues. I said this last night. We as a football club are dying. We are going to end up in the National League South for a long time under Gary Johnson stewardship here, and we are going to go part-time, and we will any aspirations of being Football League, National League, gone. We're just going to be mid-table, National League South, you know, one of these former Football League clubs who've gone down the pyramid, and it will just become the norm for the next 10, 20 years. We'll be National League South, playing our local derbies against, no disrespect, Bath City, Chippenham Town, Taunton Town, all decent non-league clubs, but our history, you know, Exeter City, Plymouth Argyle, Bristol Rovers. I mean, these...
We used to beat teams that are now in the Premier League.
I yearn for these days. I yearn for the big derby days against Exeter. They're 3 divisions above us. Argyle are 4. They
deserve to be there as well.
I think there are 2 things I'd say about all of that, Tommy and Tawny, and I don't disagree with a word of it. It's worth noting. I think there are 3 things, if I may. 3 things that immediately spring to mind. One, again, there were a lot of people that kind of moved towards that tunnel area, because the tunnel's kind of in between where the home and away fans were last night. So, and there was a lot of kind of vitriolic stuff going towards him, as you can imagine. And he kind of stopped and kind of said something to a few as he walked off. And it made me think, and again, I'll repeat what I said last week. What does he expect? which is where, and again, we all do whatever jobs we do, but in the line of work that I do, the biggest thing is around management and leadership. Is that when the chips are down, you have to take responsibility. You can't hide behind anyone else. Right. He can't cross for somebody. He can't finish from 5 yards like Ash couldn't last night, or all of that. But ultimately, when you're the manager, you take the responsibility. That's what
you're paid to do.
That's what comes with the responsibility of management. Absolutely. So I just don't understand again what he expects. What does he expect people who stood there so they're wet to their pants? What he expects them to be saying, to be surprised by it. So that's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I would say is that one thing I'd be fascinated to know, just from a supporter who's watched a lot of football's perspective, compared to a qualified coach. If there are qualified coaches sat in the stands watching our games, I'd love to know if there is somebody who sat there thinking, God, I could do so much more with this group of players. Because let's be honest, there's players in that team that have ability. So
yes, there must be a better
way. And the third thing I would say, which, and again, shows, and it happened at times last season, I thought it happened again on Saturday to a degree in the first 20 minutes, and certainly last night, is that he's just not reacting tactically to things that will go to what goes on in front of him. Because when you've got a problem, and me and Dad would say during that first half an hour, you could restructure the shape of the team from what was on the pitch. You didn't have to go making substitutions. You could have dropped Collins to the left, you could have dropped Stobbs into the right, you could have sat Asa and McGavin in midfield, had two forwards, gone to a structured 4-4-2 to say, right, we're going to shut these gaps down, we're going to give ourselves a bit of a two banks of four, and then your wingers can go forward when you're attacking, which Collins and Stobbs are perfectly capable of doing that, and then they can drop back when you're defending, and so on and so on. You've got a more solid foundation midfield to which you can build from, because that is the problem. Time and again, we are just losing midfield in every single game because there's that gap between the point of the diamond, the top and the back. There's just nothing in between. So once you've beaten that press of Lapsey or whoever, you're just into this massive ocean of space. And of
course, without Lapsley, we haven't got anybody who can press very well from midfield.
You look at Gary Johnson's generation of coaches, your Warnocks, your this. They could never get to the top level, but they would structure their team and they would motivate their players, and that's what like your Warnocks and your Johnsons of that era did. They weren't tactical amazing. That's why Warnock could never get to manage in the Premier League, but it'd be great in the Championship League One. Because that's this to Mark White. I was just a Dorking man on my favourite on Under the Cosh. I mentioned them this year, but he was saying it doesn't matter if you're a Park League manager or Sir Alex Ferguson. If you can't the main thing they all share is they motivate their players, and Gary Johnson clearly can't do that because what we do in the first half an hour. But you just think Johnson, like, we're not going to be the most expansive, beautiful team, yeah, fair enough. But he'd set his team up first. You fail to prepare, you prepare to fail all throughout the club. That's
a good management phrase. That one's funny.
Yeah, very good. It used to be on there before I did my GCSE exams. Yeah. You walk past it, but and I'll be like,
this is handbook funny. That one.
But this is the problem we've got: is these clubs. We're almost us Yeovil are a big cup final in a way. And I heard this quite a few times where I was stood there, and it's like, well, we should expect, the first 20 minutes, half an hour to be difficult. It's like a cup final, but at the end of the day, we're in the same league. We're fighting for 3 points. We're not fighting for a place in round two. I do as well.
Yeah, they're playing better because they're playing us. So look, we're the full-time team. We just got to do better, haven't we? I mean, it started from last summer, didn't it? We had the chance, but I think we had that winning run, didn't we? And we, that acted against us. If we didn't have that winning run, maybe he would have gone.
How many more?
Would have done us all a favour.
How many more times? How many more times are we going to give teams the early goal?
Yeah.
How on earth are you expected to win football games when you're going to give soft goals early on?
The other thing I would say as well, Tommy, as well, what you're saying there about, we're people's cup finals, yes, we're going to be big games, whatever. So what does that mean? Okay, so that's fine. So we know that. We're aware of that. It was a big crowd last night, from both, their fans were up for whatever. Okay, so what does that mean for you then? Okay, so we know what they're going to do. What does that mean for me? Okay, well, that means, lads,
we're going to shut them up within 10 minutes.
Exactly. If we know what's coming, we need to hit them twice as hard, don't we? Because if we know it's their cup final, let's shut them up. Let's get in amongst them. Let's get some tackles in there. Let's get an early goal. Let's shut them up. Let's calm the kids down that were behind the goal. Let's shut them up a bit and give them something to think about. Not roll over and have our tummies tickled for the first half an hour. Because let's be honest, I don't like that phrase, the goal's been coming, because it feels like, well, it's all a bit wise after the event. But that goal had been coming because they've been all over us, haven't they? It felt a matter of time.
We couldn't get out of a half for 15 minutes.
Yeah. And how many times have we caught shot on the overlap? How many times do they have a player more than us in the back? I mean, it's just embarrassing.
And again, the concern again with that is again what you're saying there, Tommy. Twice down our right hand side, if they had players with better ability, with more quality about them, they would have hurt us far before.
They're number 7.
So when we start playing, and again, the number 7, if you believe the stories, we had an option to sign him in the summer, didn't take it. It was Robbie Wilmot, wasn't it?
Oh, was that Wilmot? I thought I recognised him. Yeah, no.
And again, when we started, so I was thinking, I said to Dad towards the end, God, imagine what the Yeovil game's going to be like if we're still in this situation.
Yeah, no,
all I can say is if you've watched us this season and you look at the way we play and the amount of chances we give teams and the defeats we've had so far this season, if you can watch that and watch the performance last night and think, you know what, this is fine, it's Torquay United, whatever, that's fine, then you must be a better person than me, because that is unforgivable. It's unacceptable. We shouldn't be expected to play such shit football. We've played it most of the season as well. That's
played it last 18 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've been lucky to get this many points, haven't we?
Remember, lads,
we got 23.
Remember,
this,
as Go Johnson himself says, football's an entertainment industry. Are you not entertained?
The other thing which is interesting as well is, and I was thinking, Dad and I were talking about this, walking back to the car last night. If you're a fan of another club and you read what we've all read on social media since the game last night, you must think to yourself, if you support, I don't know, Sheffield United or whatever level you're at relative to what the truth is for you, you must think you're 5th in the league, you're 7 points off the top, you come to be in the playoffs, you've won however many games, you're not drawing many, you've got goal scorer. What it's not that bad, is it? You're 5th in the league, and actually that's true, but. We're not. It's not. It's how we've got there. There's nothing about it.
It's not a team progress.
The table will start to
not
lie.
And that's
the table will start to not lie. No, it's not.
No, Chris. Saturday, I was listening to TUFC radio. Literally, I think it was Ray who was on the radio. Whatever. Basically said, there's been a bit of disharmony around some of the fan base. We're 7th in the league. What more do you expect?
But it's relative to what your expectations are. B, the league you're in, and C, what the end goal is. And again, if you look at, and the problem with all this is still, as I said pre-season, everything about the club. I remember when we had Sheridan on just before the start of the season, we said everything about the club. I said to her, what's it like around Yeovil? Is it, because everything around Torquay is champions, that's it. You look in the programme with all that quick fire question stuff, it's just aspirations, champions, win the league. And she said, well, no, it's not really. It's more about let's get established, let's get into the league, let's see how we go. We've got a good squad and all of that. But everything about the club has been, so our mindset of supporters and players, and I think rightly, is winning the league. So that's relative to now where we are and how we've been playing.
We were the bookies'
we're
favourites,
getting
weren't
worse as a team. We're getting worse as a team all the time. That's the problem, and that is the problem of the management.
Yeah, this isn't a young coach and a developing young team, isn't it? You can get behind them. You can think, right, we're going to get better next week. We'll learn lessons here. These are
getting worse every week.
Fairly experienced pros. Most of these, they should know better between them. And an experienced manager, I don't see any progress. We're not evolving our style. We're just getting confused, weekly about what tactics to play and who to play where. We've got no options on the bench. It's just it's frustrating times, isn't it?
They look like a group of players who have heard the same message too many times.
Yeah,
and they're just not hearing it anymore. They're just not hearing it anymore.
Yesterday was 11 strangers who met for the first time and asked to play a game of football together. That's what it looked like.
And even somebody like Brad Ash,
somebody
like Brad Ash is losing his form, isn't he? He came out fresh. He's great in pre-season, and we're kind of. Is our tactics?
He gets in all the right positions in the box, and he can't score.
Yeah, are we killing off his his motivation, his enthusiasm? I don't know.
He's going to come good.
Yeah,
eventually.
I agree. He's was good at the problems, though, isn't he? Because if you look, he's missing chances in every game. And that is a positive because A, we created them, B's in the right position, and C,
take him out of the team and put the other striker into rest him a bit.
I don't know though, because actually he needs to score a goal, doesn't he? However, if you look at the chances he's missed in the last, that one when he went around the keeper and hit the side netting on Saturday, that one when he charged the keeper and was lying on the floor, a semi-decent contact and that goes in.
The worst one was the one in the second half yesterday.
6 yards down, his skies over.
It's hard. That is the classic. It's harder to miss because even a scuffed contact, not quite such a good contact, it's in, isn't it? But he got too good a contact on it and fires it over. But yeah, I'm not that worried about him because I think
he will score goals, won't he?
It's not the
I
biggest
think maybe our hopes were raised a bit in pre-season. Thought this guy's going to get 30 now, isn't he? He's dynamite, but he's not actually that good. He's a decent player, isn't he?
It's hard to believe it. You look at pre-season and how good of a team we were during pre-season.
It wasn't just we were getting results; we were structured.
We said we were the fittest we've ever been in pre-season for a while, and now look at us. We've got 5 loan spaces free, and he's not bought a single loan player.
Probably because no one wants to give him because what we do to last year.
And they all talk to each other, don't they? These clubs.
Yeah.
What a great slip. What did the Twitter say yesterday? It was like, he was challenged before his shot.
No, his left foot got him over his right foot.
Summed up the game, that didn't it? Summed up the whole evening.
Life.
Collins has been poor, hasn't he, all season? I've seen him play 1 or 2 decent games. He just hasn't produced anything, does he? Really?
I totally agree with you, Tom, but I think he's really struggling. Ever since he's been with us, he looks like a confidence player to me, and I
doesn't know where he needs to be on the pitch.
Exactly, I think he's struggling with the system. He's struggling with what his expectations of him are.
Off Jarvis.
I
actually liked him in the middle against Welling, but he's still too deep. Get him in the middle, play him off a striker.
But I mean, but again, I wouldn't. If you're going to take Ash out of the firing line for a bit, even if you're going to do that, if you can supplement midfield with I don't know who, but if you're going to take him out and play another midfield player, for example, to change the system, change the shape, and give it a bit more structure, Collins up front wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If Jarvis is injured, which it looks like it might be, that's the only choice.
Wonderful.
Collins and Ash up front is the only option. So
wonderful.
But then what are you talking about in midfield? Hansen
we need reinforcements, don't we? We're playing Saturday, Tuesday. I mean, Lapsley's got a knock. Moxley got a nose injury. He should be all right. For a while. Jarvis has got a knock. I mean,
Martin's out.
Is Martin injured? I assume he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think is he ever going to get back to any form, Martin? I mean, we're waiting.
With long COVIDs and the injury, he might be done before we know. It's a big shame because I really, really like Dan Martin.
We need to freshen this squad up in the summer, didn't we? A number of new faces.
Third year we're saying that.
Different look. We didn't get them.
Bring on Olaf. Oh wait.
Anyway, so that draws an end to part 1 before we go into part 2.
Do you feel better after that? Do you feel better, Swanee, after that?
Well, I'm recording for the sister podcast or whatever you want to call it next. So I've got to do it all over again. But at least I've got this one out now. But I do feel better.
Positive now. You'll be more positive.
I do feel better. I feel like because I was on that M5 in the torrential rain on my own in the darkness, like an hour and a half. I was too angry.
And it was heavy.
It was.
Yeah.
I got to Holden Hill, and I know that place back around. I didn't know what it was. The mist was that bad, and the rain. And I'm like, I'm doing this for this football club. I was too angry to sleep when I got home.
Yeah. And before we end the episode, lovely to speak to a couple at the Yellow Army who watched the podcast. And
yes, me and Chris had some as well. Really good. Thank you.
Someone in the car park as we were leaving. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but he was like, give him hell for the next episode.
I think I know which one that was. And then a few people recognise me for Football Manager one as well. That is even better.
It's weird. It's
weird.
It's so weird. But thank you it was lovely to chat with you all guys. And
it was good. Yeah, it was a nice guy.
We'll continue to be as honest as we can.
Yeah. We don't enjoy being angry, do we, guys?
No, I hate conflict and negativity, but I support Talking United, and I blame my dad for that. So.
As you know, I am naturally very positive, which is why this has taken me longer than some. But
I think it's so divisive at the moment, isn't it? Because you've still got people who love Gary, and it just causes conflict every game. Even if we win, it's like, oh, there you go. You know, I told you so. Gary's coming.
Gary's our hero. He's the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah,
he's consistent sort of like, conflict between the two.
My Leicester side of me, I've had it with Brendan Rodgers, obviously, won the FA Cup, then destroyed the football club. Gary Johnson's doing exactly the same. Should have taken us up, robbed. Now destroying the football club. You have to get rid of him a year and a half earlier.
Will he go though? Will he go? Can't see it.
No, he would have gone last night. You don't get lower than last night. Because even if he was a bit of a, let's go.
Careful what you wish for, Sam.
Everyone's in.
Sam,
yeah. We got Hampton and Richmond away on Saturday, Sam. So
you get out now, wouldn't you? Because you're like, well, all my players are injured. They're not playing for me. I'll go now, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, cheers, Gary." But
I don't fully. don't fully go with that theory because if you didn't like your job, would you resign?
Yeah, I'm bossing watching.
Uh,
No, I would start looking elsewhere though.
Just because he's a football manager, fundamentally, I don't know about his financial situation, but he might have to work just like we all do. So
yeah, it might be a nice pension for him. Yeah, I don't see it might be a good pension for him and a good job.
Football management's different to what most.
And it's your purpose in life. He's done a management his whole life. He's grasping onto it, and that side of it, I do feel for him from a human point of view. But that's the industry.
I assume George is telling them things are all right, Gary. They'll come together. Oh, don't worry, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we're going to kill the club anyway.
Has this morphed into part 2, or are we actually going to?
We're going it now. And, yeah. Also, I think I might be on
Gary out, Swanee in.
I might be on some sort of blacklist, by the way, because I've had my wallet search going into play more on Saturday. I've never had that.
Ooh.
Interesting. So, what would I have in my wallet?
It's the problem with being clearly being an internet personality. So
an internet sensation.
What would I have in my wallet apart from my Torquay season ticket that I need to get in, which are stupid?
A pyro.
Well, those searches we
yesterday.
those searches we went through worked well, didn't they?
Yeah. No. Anyway, yeah. See you in episode 2.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Banyan. Sells.